the late 1950s, the redevelopment agency demolished 44 blocks, throwing 6,000 black, Japanese, and white families out into the street. With rent of $235 a month for studios in Cathedral Hill apartments, the church built the Sequoias, housing for old folks. It took you a $10,000 down payment to move in. A $1 million cathedral was built by the Catholic Church. The core of the whole project is the Japanese Trade Center, designed to lure Japanese firms to invest in San Francisco. One of the lowest rent areas there ever was. For what you get was the Western Addition. And contrary to what a lot of people think, is when people were living in the Fillmore, at the time redevelopment really started getting underway, you could get good houses, good flats, for $100 a month, 6 or 7 room flats for your family. Let me say that the problems of urban decay that face the Fillmore now and faced the Fillmore in 1948 when the redevelopment agency was created were problems of urban decay that were created, that were manipulated, they were manufactured is what I'm saying. The first step was a newspaper campaign that discredited the Fillmore and its residents. The idea that the Fillmore was a dangerous slum, dope, prostitution, senseless murders, a threat to public health and safety that had to be eradicated.
Agency has been successful in revitalizing the city. Western Addition A1, where you have St. Mary's Cathedral and all that area around there, the Sequoias and low-cost housing and high-cost housing, high-priced apartments. That was all slum area before. The number of people displaced was not great, and it was felt that that was a good area to revitalize that part of the city, particularly with the cathedral there. And the city needs market housing just also, you know, you can't build everything for low cost.
When you begin to deal with redevelopment and why redevelopment is so unbending in terms of meeting the needs of the people, you begin to find out that there are much larger questions, national and international questions, that, you know, dictates redevelopment policies really before the agency was created.
As the Bank of America says,
this bank in particular has a strong attachment to what they call the Pacific Basin, and I think there'll be extensive investments in this area.
But in large part, inevitably, it depends upon certainty and security.
Right.
And I think it's perfectly obvious that growth will take place where there is relatively little political risk of expropriation.
My name is Peter P. Mendelson. I'm chairman of Tenants and Owners in Opposition to Redevelopment. We call it TOUR, a tenants organization that was formed in order to fight the injustice caused by the redevelopment in our neighborhood. The South of Market lies right next to San Francisco downtown business district. I've lived in the South of Market for over 40 years, on one block between Market and Mission on 3rd Street. I lived down here because we were close to the docks and because for 40 years I was a seaman. Other people in our organization worked as longshoremen or in the machine shops, the factories and warehouses that are all over the South of Market. There are a lot of working people living down here. Most of them have families. They live here because it's close to the jobs and the rents are cheap. There are a lot of people like me who have lived here all their lives and have settled down in hotels now that we're retired. There's a big area of hotels, restaurants, and stores. The people living on small union pensions and Social Security can't afford. In 1966, the city government and the big corporations decided that we were all blight and decided to put a big redevelopment project in here.
I went to the Chamber of Commerce and went to some others and suggested we'd take 2 or 3 blocks and go out as far as a freeway and develop that for a redevelopment agency. Probably take 2 blocks wide and develop it to a tourism convention building and an art center and also for sports, sport arena and office buildings and so forth. What bothered me then, and it still bothers me, is that's really the gateway to the city of San Francisco. And those old tumble-down buildings and with those rhinos hanging around there and cheap saloons and and cheap hotels down there. I thought that was not the proper entrance to a great city like San Francisco. I thought we ought to develop that.
San Francisco is designed to be the financial and administrative center of the hemisphere. And that means that San Francisco does not have room for working class people. Just run out of room. They have room for administrators, they have room for junior executives, and that's it. And so to try to deal with just one small issue such as housing without going into the larger things surrounding it would be foolish. And our job, I think, is to explain that, because with the machinery being what it is and with our powers being what they are in the community, you can't always stop it, but you can always explain why it's happening. And then the people themselves, once they begin to develop political understanding of what's happening, they can stop it ultimately.